Hi, George here, and today I want to talk about using frames here inside of Photoshop Elements. They're easy to use and very customizable, and there are a few tricks in here I'll show you how to make this even better for you. But first, let's start off with getting just a couple of pictures in here, and I got these two pictures, these two wedding shots from Pixabay. Let's switch over there and I'll show you where I got those. That's right here, we're on Pixabay. I'll put this link in the description and the other one as well. Simply download the two pictures. Now the size I'm using is the one right here, 1280 by 1920. Always look for that 1920. That's about 6 inches in Photoshop Elements. So that's the one you want. So we'll be using this picture and also we'll be using this picture right here. Okay, so go ahead. We'll go back over to Photoshop Elements. So I downloaded those two images, saved them onto a location on my hard drive where they're easy to find, and then simply brought them in here. Now to do this project, we'll start off with a new file. I'll just close this down. Go up to File, New, Blank File, and we use the default Photoshop Elements size, which is 6Y by 4 high at 300 resolution. Choose OK, and we'll dock that right there. If you use the Control-0 keyboard shortcut, that fits your image to the screen. There we go. Now you'll find the frames over here. It's on Graphics, bottom right-hand corner. I normally have this set for by type. And over here, let's change this to frames. And here are all of the frames. And these are kind of automated. You put the frame in first, you then add the picture into the frame, and then they're locked together. Real nice, easy way to do this. The ones I used were this one right here, brown wood, and this one over here, circular. You can use any frame you want. One thing to note though, notice that some of these frames have a little kind of a medium blue triangle up here. That means that I have not downloaded this from the website yet. So when you first install Photoshop Elements, you'll have a few frames available, but not that many. Most of the frames are still up on Adobe's website. That just saves space on your hard drive. You don't need the frames if you're not going to be using them. But if you want to use a particular frame, make sure you have a currently active internet access, internet connection, and it's real easy to download. I'll scroll here to this one. That's a blue triangle. Click on that. It'll download that frame. There we go. That's taken care of. And notice that that blue triangle has now gone away. So real easy to bring these in. Just click on it, give it a couple of seconds, and you have it on your computer. Let's go back over here to Layers. And the frames come in like this. Comes in as a folder with 3 parts. The frame itself, the photo, and a mask for the photo. Those are the masks is just a shape, and the photo comes in as a clipping mask onto our mask shape. And the whole thing's combined into a folder right like that. If you're using a very early version, an earlier version of Photoshop Elements, you may not have the folder structure, but you'll have the rest of this in here. You can show or hide that just by showing and hiding that folder. Okay, let's go back over to the graphics again and back over here to our frames. Now before I start this project and get this all working, just wanted to mention that you now can send thanks. If you like this video, you can click on that thanks button, bottom right-hand corner just below the video, and send a thanks, and that helps keep this channel running. Okay, let's take a look at our 2 frames. I have this one right here. I'll bring this one in. Now when you bring a frame in, notice that you can move it around like that. And then click on the middle part right here to bring an image in. Now, if you don't see that image in here, just double click on that and get a little mini toolbar up here. This one right there, this allows you to get a new photo for your frame. Click on that. Now I downloaded the 2 images here to a folder I have. It's just called Projects on my C drive. It's just a temporary holding location for things like this. I'll choose this picture, choose Place, and it brings that picture right in like that. Now, you can kind of see around here, we have these control handles. There's one on the corner. There's one on the side here. There's one down there. Each side, each corner has a control handle. You can use that to make your image larger or smaller. There we go. Or you can drag it around like this. Notice if I go too far, you see the background in there. So bring that over. Also notice if I make it larger, the frame still shows you just the part that you want to see. So you can actually adjust your size until it's just the way you want. You can also use the zoom control right up here. These 2 controls allow you to rotate your image if you need to. There we are. I think that's pretty nice. I'll leave it at that. Hit that green check mark, and that's now in position. See that kind of double bent arrow? Click on that. You can then rotate your image inside. There we go. You can do that. Hit the check mark on that one. Let me show you one thing about this. Notice our control handles, so you can kind of see them out here. They go way out here. This is the control handles for the picture itself, for the photograph. If I hit that green check mark, that sets that in place. I'll click on the frame itself. And notice that I now have different control handles. They're right outside of the picture. They're not way out here anywhere. So this is a different set of control handles. This now controls the picture and the frame together. So if I grab one here, I can make the whole thing larger or smaller like that. If I come just outside, I can actually rotate the image and it rotates the whole frame. Hit that green check mark. You can also drag it around if you want to and put it on a different spot on your image. So double click into the image to work with just the photograph, hit that green check mark, click on the frame, and then your control handles are inside here just outside of your picture to work with the whole thing as a unit or as a set. Now while your frame is selected, you can change frames if you want to. Let's just go over here, click on this one. It's a different frame. Let's go up here to this one, different frames. So you can try different frames just by clicking on the different frames. I'll stick with this though for this. Now click outside, anywhere over here or over here, left-hand side, to deselect this frame. I can now bring in a second frame. Click this second frame button over here. Brings in another new frame right here, same thing. Now, I don't know why. Sometimes you'll see this, click here to add photo or drag photo here. Sometimes you won't. I don't know why that happens. It's a little glitch inside of Photoshop Elements. Most of the time you'll see this. But as we saw on the last one over here, we didn't have that. You just double click on the white space to open up the same thing. Okay, so click in here. We'll take this picture right there, choose place, and bring that one in. That looks pretty good. You can kind of see the off edge over here, and there's over there. So I think I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on this. And I'll grab this bottom left-hand corner, I'll pull it down just a touch. Gives me a little bit of space to work with in here. There we go. So that one's in place. Hit that green check mark, and that's now set to go. Let's now resize this. I'll click outside someplace and click on the frame itself. Here's the new control handles just right around that picture. That's fine. I'm going to grab this upper left-hand corner, pull it down a little bit. I want it about the same size as the other picture and rotating in the opposite direction, kind of like that. Green check mark. Now, because of the positioning of the people in this, I think I'll reverse these two. Let's put this one over here and come just outside one of these side control handles. I'll rotate it this way. I'll leave that one there. Green check mark. Click outside. Get our other frame, which is this one over here. And let's rotate this the other way. Again, click outside and click the frame itself. And there's our control handle. Rotate that one this way. Green check mark, click outside. It's a little bit of back and forth on getting these things so they're not overlapping and causing you problems like that. And then it's just a matter of going back and forth until you get just the look that you want on this. I think a little less rotation on this one would be kind of nice. Yeah, I'll put it up here. I'm going to take them just a little bit off frame this time. There we go. Now we have this nice transparent background in here. You want to change that background as well. Easy to do. Go up here where it says frames, change this to backgrounds, and then choose a new background here from the downloaded backgrounds. Now these run exactly the same way as the frames do. I've used most of these in different projects or in different videos, so most of these have already been downloaded. But you can still find some like this one right here that has that blue triangle. If I wanted to use this one, I'll double click on that. It downloads that and then loads that in. Don't happen to like that look, but that showed you how that worked. Let's just scroll down a little bit here. I'll come down about halfway someplace. Let's just see what is looking good in here. Something kind of neutral, I think, for the background. That's not too bad. A little lighter over here. That one's kind of nice. Not enough detail, though. I like to have some kind of detail on there, some kind of texture. And simply try different frames and see how they look until you find one that you like. Kind of interesting, kind of a faded grass look, but I think I'll skip that one. Folded paper, kind of fun. There we go, kind of an antique wall look, like really old wallpaper. I think we'll stick with that one. Okay, so far so good, looking real nice. Now, one thing I would like to have on this would be a drop shadow behind these frames. And you can't do that directly on the frames, but there is a way to do that. So we'll do that next. Come down to the layers panel right there. And notice we have our two frames in here. Here's our top frame. Here's our bottom frame. I'll just collapse those folders in here. And if you're working with an earlier version of Photoshop Elements that doesn't have these folders in here, I'll show you that in just a second. Let's do it first for the folder version. Click on this. I'll right click on the folder, duplicate frame layer, choose OK, and it duplicates that whole thing. Then I'll hide the one that we just copied. Let's now right click on this one and come down to simplify layer, and that converts the whole thing, the whole set, into just one layer right there. So that's this one, is now just one layer. Let's say though that you don't have the folder structure in here. I can demonstrate that. I'll take all of these, just grab these here. I'll pull those out of that folder. There we go. And this, right click on this and create clipping mask. This is now working the same as a folder did, except that they're not inside of a folder any longer. So if you're on an earlier version of Photoshop Elements, this is how you would do that. Just click on the top one, hold the Shift key down, click on the bottom of your set of 3, right click, duplicate layers, choose OK, and you get all 3 copied, and then simply hide those. These are still selected, right click, and merge layers. Does the same thing. It's one layer in here with that image on the one layer. So 2 different ways to approach that if you have or don't have a folder structure. I think that the folder structure came in here in version 15. So if you don't have at least version 15, then you won't have the folders. Okay, do the same thing here for the second one. I'll stick with the folders this time. Right click, duplicate frame layer, choose OK. Hide that one. That's right click and simplify layer. There we go. I now have this one and this one on their own layers, and they've been merged together. Everything else is hidden, which is correct, except for the background, of course. And now we can apply layer effects onto this. So here's our background one. Go up to Layer, come down to Layer Style, Style Settings, and Drop Shadow. You can see the drop shadow in there. It's just a kind of a faint drop shadow. Let's make that darker. I'll bring the opacity up, and let's bring our size up a little bit. That's a bit of a blurring on that. And I'll bring the distance out. Now I'm going to change the lighting angle here over to 130, kind of upper left-hand corner. And now you can see that drop shadow in there very clearly. Okay, that's good. Choose OK. And notice that that layer now has an FX over here. That means that there is a layer style on this layer. So right-click on the name, come down to Copy Layer Style, go up here to the top layer, right-click, and then come down to Paste Layer Style. And it copies those settings from this layer up to this layer, saving you some time. And there's that drop shadow in there. So there you go. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That really helps out my channel a lot. If you got something out of this, consider sending me a little thanks. Click on that thanks button, bottom right-hand corner just below the video. And if you want to learn a lot more about how to use Photoshop Elements, then take a look at my complete training course, and I'll put a link for that in the description as well. And I'll see you next time.